Welcome to Radio Essence. My name is Susan Lindberg, and I'm recording from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. There is a date approaching, this huge 21st of December, end of the world date. According to Mayans, but actually it's not only the Mayans, you can find it with the Hopis, and there are. I once saw this list of all those people who did predict this year to be the end. I've recently read some things that gave me a new idea, and I would love to share that. Of course, we can't know in advance what's going to happen, but first, I would like to bring up something I've spoken about earlier. I'm actually back now recording on Sunday, and Monday, that used to be a day that is a kind of between day. It's perfect for me to do the kind of checking if it's not a disaster what I've done, and do all the computer work that has to be done before it's actually a video of this recording. The two last recordings being quite a challenge. I found a feeling of happiness inside of me after I did the recording last week. Actually, it was ready first a couple of days ago. But I would have never approached this man if it wasn't for this radio station. And to me, it was the very end of a too long and complicated story. If you have heard it, you will understand what I mean. There is an aspect in all this thing that I think I want to talk about. There is something different in my life. There is a kind of knowing. I can be quite a terrible person, the kind of person who is always right. But this aspect is there when I'm working, and only when I'm working. But in my life in general, I am blind. But I do have a kind of strange mixture. So let's see, well, I can give you a little example, like the post. I've had a couple of times in my life where I just find a letter I know, this I have to immediately open. And for the rest, I can let it lay there, and I take care of it when I want to, when I feel no, it's time. But that letter that I felt, oh, that I have to pick up now, was really important. So that knowing is a kind of guidance. I'm taking several new steps now. Let's say I've had 20 years working inwards. It's been a long road, and that's very different from what I'm saying. Like I can give someone a clue and they can change their life. It's another path, and I think it has to do with the choice I mentioned. When I was a child, I made the choice I want to reach the full capacity as a human being. This I'm telling without saying that's the way it is, but for me it gives me an explanation from what I've experienced. That decision I made then has taken away all the choices we have in life, for me. And it explains that I needed 20 years to work through the inside. Like, you can give someone a view of this, how this have to, should, must, ought to kind of things function in our life. I needed years to really get it out of my system. It's the tough one. deal with many things, but this, really get it on, then it's like several layers, and I have to do them all. And that's work. To really get it out of the system, something that, who doesn't live with that? And could I say I don't? I have to be careful with what I'm saying, but let's say I'm in that direction. And I could as well very clearly see that I was dealing with an ending of that 20 years, and I was a release to find that. And now I have started. I didn't know about this radio station before it just entered my head. Started these kind of steps. There's a lot of wind here. Oh, we are in Amsterdam. Leaves blowing on the window. Real autumn. So I have seen that there's kind of time for me. I have 20 years in front of me, being outward going, being in doing, and it's a challenge to turn it around. And the biggest challenge is that I've had to take in several matters. Imagine the tarot card, the Fool, blindfolded, taking a step out in nothing, over a cliff, having no idea where it goes. That's what I'm doing now. And did I last time talk about how every forces in my life forces told me I have to approach that man, or I didn't, I got sick, and so on. Those forces do not need to fight with me anymore. I just, without, let's say, that is the knowing. I do not struggle with that anymore. When there is a knowing, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, I follow it at this time. I don't argue. But that is the Fool taking a step over the cliff, and we'll see where it goes. I have no idea. So the knowing is that I had to take a step. What direction? What kind of step? And the knowing as well has been protecting me, one way or the other. And now, without, let's talk about this, talking on the radio station, not, can't bother about, like last time. Did I do a good job, or was it bad? It's like not the subject. It was clear to me I had to do it, wanting it or not. And I felt a happiness after that. Actually, that recording is only for one person, but you can all listen to it. And the recording before that of actually do the effort to tell what in hell am I doing. I can wonder myself. I just know it's work that just feels good and moves things and is fun and makes results, and it gives the kind of changes we all want to make. But that knowing, I have a very funny thing that I went around saying that, oh, I have to stay on this earth for more than 50 years still, and with a kind of strong feeling that the next place is so much better. And I said, no, more than 50 years, I have to stay here. Even if I want it or not, I have to stay here. And then came a date, or a moment, when I knew, I can't say 50 years any longer. So actually, I know when it's time for me to leave here. And that knowing says I have 20 very active years in front of me. Starting a little kind of, yeah, turning the direction of the train kind of thing. But that's a knowing. So what about then this 21st of December? I just know. It's I'm still going to be here next year as well. For sure. I as well told you that when I started to read people, I stopped reading books. It was like the choice, reading a book or reading an author. What is the most interesting thing? It's the author. So, books were not interesting to me any longer. But then came this last 4 years where I have been collecting data. The thing I talked about during my introduction. 4 years of collecting and digging as deep as I could. The studying of this data still has to come. There I have at least 5 gigabytes of books to read. And it was a nice thing of stopping with this watching videos and searching and listening to these things and just take a book. And the information comes in my speed with my thinking. Not like a news bulletin, you kind of get fed in a certain speed, and now here I read every word and digest it as I want, and I read in the speed I want. It was very pleasant to go back to reading. Those things I started with was a book I never finished. It's Madame Blavatsky, and that's quite an amazing lady. Someone who traveled the world around, distant of a couple of times around the world, and spoke. I can't remember the number, but was it 13 languages? And they're including Indian language not used at this moment, Sanskrit. I can't remember all this stuff. This is a Russian lady, and this is happening before 1900. So, gives it another perspective. I started this book, and it's really a brick stone next to my bed. And I remember it took about 1/5 of the book, of the beginning. It was about how everything got created. The first fifth was about the creation, how everything was before material. And so in that, there's not even a planet. There's no suns. There's nothing. She can write about it for many, many pages. If 10% of it is true, it's amazing. What is happening with that book is that she talked a lot about science at that time. I find a very interesting scientist that maybe was before Nikola Tesla even dealing with free energy. So I collected a little bit of material about him, so I have to can read later. Except that the names of the scientists and what they were doing doesn't say anything to me, so that makes it quite heavy. But that book I want to finish, so it's good when I can't sleep. And there's a part 2 as well that I have in my bookshelf that I haven't read, and it's about the development of the human beings. The other thing I been reading is something I have now placed on my script page. Radio Essence is it called, and the address is on my YouTube page. I have read kind of spiritual books in the past about uh, people channeling, and so I wasn't so intrigued by that kind of thing any longer. But I do as well have had very, how shall I say it? I have rich knowledge from experience I have. So this is the law of one. Channeling from the Ra group. And let's say I got hooked when they came to a part where they talked about them being on another dimension. Many times now they are on the sixth dimension. We are on the third, and they were then about from the fourth or fifth. So we're talking about 100,000 years ago. They were on Venus. Not on third dimension, so not in a body the way we are. They talked about a golden color. Can't remember in what contents, but I have seen a vision long time ago. It was 1958. That is what I know. I was a child of 8. 1958 is some years before I landed here on Earth. And one of the things I saw there was a golden field. So again, this gold color. And at the same time, there was this huge dark grey airplane, and me knowing I had to leave. I suppose it took some time to find the right, wrong parents there and to land. But so I had that vision, and that is talked about gold. And it's quite a complicated book to read, but I think somewhere I got it. And it is like forget about all religious book you have read. It's like a book that makes much more sense. And it's not people who, it's like these people created the things here. I think, was it the Elohim group? I don't keep details in my head. But let's say that their relationship to us is more like grandparents with their children. Not that they want to be gods for us. So it's not a religious book, but it has a completely other view, and it makes sense. And I as well find conclusions there. No, I actually find things there that are goes completely together with the conclusions I made myself. So I like this book. Believe, not believe, I don't care. It's not a book to believe, but it is interesting to have read it. And as Carla Rackett, I think her name is pronounced. That's a woman who was channeling this. There were 3 persons working together, and she wrote a quite big part in the 5th book. And I read some kind of wisdom in her words, so I wanted to read some more of her. So I went on, and I'm in the middle of a Wanderer's Handbook. That one I've placed the script page as well for you. There she's more like a librarian. That is her past, putting things together. And there is more information that she has channeled. And than from other beings, let's say. And that is on more on a daily level, daily life level, so it's easier to read. And there are even more find the things. I found the thing that what I experienced with Mr. X actually mentioned like something that could happen. Then in a other manner kind of mentioned, it wasn't in details, but how it functioned was mentioned. What I have problem with is the word creator. It has nothing to do with the believe or not believe, but as far as I want to think at this moment is, as far as my senses go, including my knowing, and my head is not busy with creator and that stuff. That might be after this coming 20 years, that the last, I think 14 years. I might be busy with that then, not now. So I have to translate that word for myself. Otherwise it gets too, I get a strange feeling inside of me. Of course, they're being a creator, but, or not. But it comes to me too much like a belief feeling. And is there something that is out of my system as well? Is this believe or not believe? In the law of one, they do talk about the coming Mayan prediction. And that being in at beginning of the 80s, this is channeled. First I want to talk about one perspective, like it could very much happen. It happened something 21st of December. But then it's created, it's done by people or whatever. If I talk just kind of Christian language for a moment, to say that the devil might take the chance there to create fear, because what he feeds from is scared people, so then he gets people more in his power. Whatever those bad forces are, there can be, let's say, I have military manuals, Americans, that talk about false flag operations. I think I have enough material to convince you that 9/11 was a false flag. And I would love to present that one day when I looked it through. It's quite a work. And then what being the motivation if it's a false flag? What has happened? How much has there been changes and power grabs out of fear? Or let's say fear being an excuse for power grab. And if you don't not aware of power grabs, let's take excuse for wars, for example. We are actually in war, even if we don't notice. Let's say that that kind of event, probably then even bigger, could be done on such a day. But I don't think that is what the Mayan was talking about. I will try to explain a little bit of what the Iraq group is talking about. and that are these different kind of dimensions. First dimensions, you might have heard about this. First dimension being minerals, water, material. The second dimension, there is added growth. I don't think they included plants in this, and I don't know why. I remember they talked about trees and animals as growing creatures, or something that grows was included. I mean, a stone doesn't grow, so they may as well have animals. And then comes the third dimension, and that being us. What is included is self-awareness. I wonder about my cat. I think she's ready for the third dimension. Self-awareness. Yeah, it's not this thinking. I mean, her thinking is not there. I know she was laying on top of me once, and it was like she showed me her inside. I could feel how her inside is, how she experiences her inner world. And then I can tell, compared with a human being, she's huge, she's big. And we human beings, with our thoughts and patterns and things, are quite small. It's beautiful. They do describe this step from second to the third dimension and being something taking a couple of generations. So not in one moment thing. And that's actually how they describe this coming step. The third dimension is being, compared with the other ones, very short. It can take 75,000 years. So it's a short one. But they are talking about this step now, coming now, from the third to the fourth dimension. And how do you kind of graduate as a soul? There's a lot about that in it. And then, I mean, if I'm ready to graduate, it's not like I feel like I've got quite far. I can be one of those wanderers. I would be surprised if I'm not. The other book is talking about. But what has to be is a kind of balance between different chakras. It's not how far they are developed, but that they are balanced. And there comes the thing of chakras that I have from my experience of that word within the New Age. I've said, I mean, that's not life. It's dividing life in a way that is not natural. It's just for your head, and it's not something you can experience or feel. But for myself, I'm playing with the subject at this moment, because I do talk about chakras in another way that make me want to explore it a little bit. Realizing that there's some things you can connect with these chakras. So we're going from the third to the fourth chakra, to the heart chakra. So in next round, when we graduate, we will learn about love. And I think I have always thought that that is something we really have a lot to learn about, because just the word, how we use that word so many times, we can actually change that word for another word, and it suits much better. Again, they're not talking about a kind of sudden change from one day to another. No, a graduate one. But let's say that the Mayan was looking in the future, and they're doing quite well. They are, at that moment, they are third dimension. But then they can see as far as third dimension. They can't see the fourth dimension. So their seeing ends. Actually, with the time, all third dimension will leave this planet. Those staying here will be of fourth dimension. And that might be the time of peace, no wars. One description I like, let's say we're living in a three-dimensional world. So space is three-dimensional, you have a line, you have then the square, and then you have the three dimensions. I mean, I suppose I'm right in that. Let's say time is now seen as a line. In the fourth dimension, time becomes three-dimensional. Amazing. I've tried to imagine how can that be? How is it? What does it work? And then you have the fifth dimension of wisdom, and you have the sixth dimension, and then it's a very interesting read. And at that time, reading that and thinking, yes, there is a change going on. We are preparing for something, and we all have to be challenged to grow, to be ready to graduate. Therefore, you can really say you can really believe in Lucifer. There are those who worship Lucifer, yes. I wouldn't like to go so far. That as well has been part in that book. I look at the world of duality, and that is the fact. We're living in a world of duality, but like day and night, duality can kind of float and be in harmony. Then we have this thing of good and bad. That doesn't worry me. My worry is when good is getting better and bad is getting worse. There's a tension, and tension getting stronger and stronger. That's a worry. All this duality has been stretched out and more tensed. What you all as well read there is this thing of the evil being here. It makes growth. And in other systems, there are on other solar systems, where there's no evil, people do not grow. Or whatever creatures they are, they do not grow. That's what this book is talking about. As fast. So this thing of evil being present gives clarity. Lucifer comes with the light. Things gets clear. It's like we have a white paper and we have to have black on that paper to be able to read. That makes writing black on white paper. So in that sense you can say, yes, Lucifer is the one who came with the light. And actually evil not being bad. It's a challenge to make us grow. It's a completely another perception, and you still have to choose for yourself what you want to. They talk a lot about service to self and service to others. And you can graduate with service to self. But then the demands are much, much higher. But the important part is service to self. Nay, but the important part is the service to others. But you just have to be over 50%, and that's enough. Don't have to be perfect. So let's leave that fear of 21st of December. Just let's celebrate that big change coming, and or not. And when we come to believe, it's no, I don't want to believe. I want to know. I think I will end it here. Just wanted to talk about this subject because I just wanted to mention this about this 21st of December because it started to bother me and I wanted to get this out and let it go. Because, no, don't worry. But of course, don't believe me. Check for yourself. It's an interesting read. It's a slow read as well. You have to be patient. But if you read the Bible or the Quran or whatever book, to me this makes sense. It's up to date. It's now. And I don't care if it's true or not. Have a nice day, have a nice evening, sleep well, whatever time you're listening to this, and I hope until the next time. Bye.